So thanks for the opportunity. It's good to see everyone there. Um, so I'm Brother Lameko. Oh, I'm Abinadi. This is Natasha, and yeah, that's all you need to know. Nah, but um, but yeah, we're gonna get straight into our workshop. Okay, so just a bit about ourselves. We've been married 19 years this March, and my wife was married before that. Nah, just kidding. We've been married 19 years, and we have 5 kids, and yeah. So our youngest is 9, and our oldest is 17, turning 18. So yeah, we've got yeah, it's chaos every day. Okay, so yeah, so welcome to our workshop. So our title is how to make the most important decision in your life, and that's for our lovely marriage preparation. Everyone that's single is under marriage preparation, and um, and then for our couples we called it and making it last forever. Okay, um, so yeah, we hope that you will enjoy our workshop. We're gonna get straight into it. So this is a bit about our family, but that's okay. But yeah, so we're gonna give tips on marriage prep, and then we're gonna give like with some golden nuggets along the way. So golden nuggets for us is like the things that we've loved and that we've implemented that has been really a real good success in our marriage. So we call them golden nuggets. So every time you see kind of like a little sign that's got like golden nuggets on it, then that's something that we really love and cherish. That's really blossomed our marriage. So yeah, just yeah. So we'll get straight into it. So the very first thing that we wanted to share was the pressure of marriage. Okay, or the pressure to be married, and we're going to show you what it was like in our time. So our time, we're old, so we're going to see if it's the same kind of pressure that you're receiving at your age. Okay, so even those that are married, yes, if it's, see if it relates to you too. So obviously, the pressure when you're in the primary or youth is low, but you do get started with songs like "Families Can Be Together Forever." I was lucky. I mean, I was fortunate to go on my mission. So the pressure of getting married on my mission goes goes backwards. Okay, so if you obviously don't get go on a mission to get married, and as soon as I came off my mission, the pressure to be married just skyrocketed to almost 100%. So besides my non-member friends and family, nearly every member that I would come across will always bring up, "Are you dating? Um, are you thinking of marriage? When are you going to get married?" Yeah, all that kind of stuff. It came straight away. If you see that line, it just means that in the YSA, when you start getting older in the YSA, the pressure slowly comes down. And then when you become single adults, all of a sudden that kind of pressure stops. I'm wondering it's because once you're like 30 onwards, you start getting like, when are you getting married? And you start getting like, they're more mature and they're more abrupt and they're like, oh, sorry, I won't bring it up. But that's what it's like. So this is for us. I'm not sure if it's the same for you guys, but that's the pressure of being married. So I thought that was kind of funny to share. The other thing that we did was we did like a little basic survey on what are some of the things that are the pressure points when it comes to dating and marriage. And these are some examples. So I'm not sure if it relates to you guys, but these are some of the answers we got and that we remember. People always saying, "Are you dating? And if not, how come?" Peers mocking about who I'm dating and saying, "Why him or her?" Sad. Scared of getting rejected and others finding out and being labeled a reject. Sad. That's only a casual first date and peers are already saying, "When's the wedding?" Sad. Scared, sorry, not sacred. Scared to commit to someone, thinking there could be someone else. Wanting to sort myself out both temporally and spiritually first. That's a common one for males. Think. And the last one is had a bad experience in the past with dating and with dating. So these, I'm not sure if it's the same for you guys, but these are kind of the most kind of common things that are usually given when it comes to the pressure of being married. Okay. So
recently, this is last week, Valentine's Day, Elder Holland did a broadcast for young single adults in Texas. And we found this in there and we thought this is really, really cool. We love what it says. So don't feel like you have to get married 30 seconds after you're back from your mission, which obviously seems to be what people try to do. But it does say to make marriage the high priority it's supposed to be, but let your Father in heaven lead you to the right partner at the right time in your life. So that part of we thought was really important. So make it a high priority, but don't make it be the thing that encompasses your life and takes it over, right? Because we truly believe that that Heavenly Father will lead you to the person you should be with at the right time in your life. Because there are sometimes we need to sort ourselves out a little bit more. Not for like 20 years, but we need to sort ourselves out before we get ourselves in the right space to be married. And so we love this quote that we've got here, which says, we all come from the same root, but the leaves are all different. And so it's kind of like we've all been taught the same things, but we will blossom in our own time and be able to be the person our Heavenly Father wants us to be in our own different ways. And so we really love that as well, which kind of leads us to this next quote. We got this from a Facebook page called Come Follow Me Daily, and in it they talked about paths of righteousness. So in 1 Nephi chapter 16, it talks about paths as in plural. And the example that was given talked about how during the anti-Nephi-Lehi's time, they buried their weapons of war, which meant that and the Lord consecrated that for them. So they buried their weapons of war. They never went to war, and the Lord consecrated that for them. Many years later, when war came back, their sons then picked up those same weapons of war and went to war, and God consecrated that path for them. So I love how this quote says, your path can be, let me make sure it's right. Your path can be right for you. Theirs can be right for them. God can consecrate both. And if God can support both, so can we. So sometimes in marriage, like what about I said, you come in from your mission, you get asked, when are you getting married? When are you getting married? And then when you do get married, the next question is, when are you having kids? When are you having kids? When are you having kids? Or people will say, well, hang on, you've got kids now. Why are you both working? Should your wife be at home? But that's not up to us. That's somebody else's path. So you will have your own path of righteousness. And so today we wanted to share that with you, that this is our path and how we've come to where we are. And we want to share with you different things of how it's worked for us. And hopefully some of those things will help you in your own path. But whatever your path you're on, we know that Heavenly Father's got you pretty much.
Cool. So what Tasha's saying, marriage is so important that when you're taking all these advice, you're going to get advice from other members, other leaders, us, and your parents' example, and you're just going to make marriage your own. So we're going to talk about a lot about that soon. So the first little quote that we saw that we forgot who wrote it was, there are three major events in your life: your birth, your marriage, and your death, and there's only one of them that you have control over. So we thought it was funny but also important, because that's how powerful marriage is. Not only preparing for marriage, but in the marriage, when you're married, that's how important it is. So our first tip we wanted to share with you, out of all the tips, we wanted you to know that the first tip that's most important for us while you're preparing for marriage and in marriage is build your character. And we thought this was so important because we need you to do you. Have you heard of that? Have you heard of that before? You do you. Okay, so we've been hearing it everywhere. Even TV is hard out, like, oh, you do you, girl, or I'm sick of life. Oh no, you do you, And we kind of felt that you do you is too open, like you do you, meaning it could be spiritual and not spiritual.
It can be quite selfish too. You can kind of step on other people in the way of you doing you. So
we wanted to change the kind of saying to you do the Lord, so you do you, but in the Lord's guideline, with the guidance of the Lord. So you do the Lord, you continue to do the Lord. So we don't want anyone to feel the pressure of marriage the whole pressure that we shared about marriage. We just need you to build your character. You do the Lord and enjoy the gospel while you do it. So we threw some ideas about you doing the Lord, and it's like working on your characteristics daily, your character. It's education. It's through both work or your career that you're in, magnifying your calling, activity, service, your family, and just loving and enjoying the journey while you do the Lord, and not to be too worried about the pressure of being married. You just do the Lord. That's what we want you to do. And then there's so many things you could do. So with the work on your characteristics, that's a real important one for us, because till this day, for me personally, I still work on my personal characteristics, which is my values. Do you want to ask them to? Okay. So these are some of the examples that we thought of your characteristics. So we just need to work on this every single day, and that's one of the most important things we can do. Okay. So when it comes to your character, I think of the story, and it's a true story, sorry, and it was from Steve Covey, and I love it. When it comes to character, I think of this experience, and it was an experience given by a captain. And one night it was stormy. It's a battleship, and it's stormy and cold. It's a submarine, sorry, and um, the crewman comes to the captain and say, Captain, there's a ship in our sea lane, and yeah, what shall we do? And the captain's like trying to get up, and he says, don't worry, go to them and tell them to move 20 degrees to the east. So they jump on their mic, and they're just saying, attention, please, you're in our sea lane, we'd like you to move 20 degrees to the east. And Cigna replies, we would like you to move 20 degrees to the east. So by then, the crewmen go back to the captain and tell him captain's annoyed. So captain jumps on the mic and goes, this is Captain Horatio Hornblower III. I am ordering you to move 20 degrees to the left. And Cigna replies, this is Seaman Carl Jones of the second, and I'm ordering you to move 20 degrees to the left. By then, the captain's like, like he's annoyed as like, we're a big ship. So he goes on and jumps on the mic and says, we are the Missouri battleship, submarine 5079. We order you to move 20 degrees at once. And Cigna replies, we are the lighthouse. Okay. So this experience, sorry, it wasn't a joke. Nah, just kidding. This experience is such an awesome experience. Like for me, what I get out of it when it comes to character is, no matter how big the battleship is, no matter how powerful the battleship is, if we hold strong to our standards and our character, we will be immovable like the lighthouse. And that's why I talk about um, building your character every single day, so that when anything happens, like temptations or trials or challenges, that you will be immovable with those challenges as you enjoy the journey, as you prepare for marriage in the future. So that's something that we love, this experience of being the lighthouse. And at the same time, we already know that the lighthouse is in the scriptures, and how, being a light unto the world, with the Savior's example. So yeah, so when you think of being able to build your character, I think of the lighthouse. So think of small specific things, and we'll talk about it later, and think, are you a lighthouse with those specific things? Something to add with build your character is, please do not worry about outside influences. Okay. Now we're trying to think of what's a nice way to do a quote about the haters. And this is a nice quote. It says, try not to take things personally. What people say about you is a reflection of them, not you. So the reason why we said do not worry about outside influences is because sometimes we think about what people think. Sometimes we think about what our friends say, all those pressure examples that we gave. But sometimes the Lord wants us to do something. Sometimes we feel like we want to do something, we'll date this person, but we get caught up by outside influences, or what people think of us about a situation, please don't worry about outside influences. When when I came off my mission, these are our dating days. When Tasha and I came off our mission, um, we started dating, but we had already dated a few people before we dated, right? And and people started gossiping about us when we were dating. So people come up to me and say, "Oh, don't date Tash. She's like had a few boyfriends and blah blah blah." And I'm like, "True now." And then people will gossip about me and tell Tash, "Oh, don't date don't date Abinadi. He was real naughty before his mission, and he's got naughty friends and stuff like that. And we're not sure about your future. He's got no education. Blah blah blah. It goes on. It goes on. But the the gossip was there, and this quote is so important for you. When you build your character, when you become the lighthouse, you won't worry about things like a battleship or things like gossip and that. You will just continue on dating. So for me, I came off my mission and I was a straight. I just wanted to date anyone. I just had one purpose, and that was to get married. But unfortunately, for me, it was because I felt like I was in a life or death situation. No one had a gun to my head. Oh, yeah, sorry, I'll bring it up later. So, so these are the two things that we did: was press forward with steadfastness in Christ. So just continue to press forward in your goals and exactly what you want to do with your character, your education, and yeah, these are the two biggest and the most amazing choices that I ever made. That was to serve a mission and to find eternal friend.
Okay, so this one we wanted to talk about is one of the quotes we found ages ago, years ago, because we've done lots of presentations, but it's from Elder Bruce C. Hafen, and it says, "Don't date someone you already know you would not ever want to marry. If you fall in love with someone you should not marry, you can't expect the Lord to guide you away from that person after you're already emotionally committed." So in other words, trying to tell us that falling in love is a choice. You see it in the movies all the time, like, "Oh, you can't help who you fall in love with." You can help it. You can totally help it. So it's really important that you make sure that when you're choosing someone that you're really wise in your choice. And like it says there, don't date someone you already know you would never ever want to marry them. And we got asked this question yesterday, like, how do you know who that is? And I kind of felt like this particular quote is talking about non-members and less actives. And I'm not talking about less actives as in they come to church once in a while. I'm talking they don't come to church, or they've lost their testimony along the way. So I think that's who he's talking about there. And I think the reason is because, like it says, when you've chosen to be with someone, and Heavenly Father would never ever mess up with our choices. We came to this earth with agency. We were given that gift, and we chose to come to this earth. So why would he take our choice of who we just decide to spend our life with? So I think that's really important for you to understand that, because I had a rule when I was single that somebody asked me on a date, I would always go on the first date. Always go on the first date. Even if I wasn't really keen, thought there was nothing in it, I would always go on the first date. And then I would never ever leave them on if I knew it wasn't going anywhere beyond that. And when I would go on a date with that person, I would make sure that I was looking for something about them that I thought was a really awesome quality to have in an eternal companion, even if I thought that I wasn't going to end up with them. And that happened to me before I met Abinadi. So it's really important that I think we give people chances, but also be very clear that, I find it interesting that you would ask Heavenly Father, should I marry this non-member? Because I think you already know the answer to that. And so there's a part that Abinadi added, which I think is really important. You want to go over that part?
Yep. So just keep in mind that this is a guideline for us. Don't take it as commandments, but it's definitely a guideline that will help us. Yeah. So it comes with this quote that we kind of thought about was, according to your choice, prepare to work harder. So remember that whoever you choose, we're not going to say, oh, that's, game over for you. That's the wrong choice. Everyone's choice, just like that paths that we were talking about, God will sanctify it. It just means that whatever choice you make, you need to prepare to work harder. If you want to date a less active brother or a non-member, this is the number one thing. You want to date a non-member because you will do missionary work and convert them. So that's fine, which is good. But but just remember that it means that you have to prepare to work harder, and it comes with a risk. So it comes with a risk of friends that we know that have been married for 20 years more and they're still not a member, the spouse, sorry. And then we've had friends that married and they're a member and they're actively doing well. So it just comes with, this is a guideline, and it just comes with a risk. And please remember, according to your choice, prepare to work harder.
So this next part is about deciding about what kind of spouse that you want to be now as well when you're single. These are Abinadi's ones, which I'll talk about in a minute. And we thought it was really important because I know as a woman, as a girl, that I had a list. I had a list of things. I had things like, I think I've said this to some of the wives I say before, like he should be tall, he should be dark, he should be handsome, all that kind of stuff. But then I would meet friends who had gone on a date with a guy and they're like, oh, he cooked me dinner. And I was like, oh, he should cook me dinner. I'd go meet another friend who goes, oh, I was serenaded by my date tonight. And I was like, oh, someone that can sing. So, my list would just get bigger and bigger and bigger. And I was like, okay. But when we think about that, there was a quote that we came across this morning, in fact, from President Howard W. Hunter in our preparation for today. And he talked about, while it's really important to choose the right person, it's also important to be the right person. So we thought this is really important with you deciding now what kind of spouse you want to be. So Ben and I was going to talk about a little bit about I didn't do this, which is why this is his thing. So
yeah. So when I came up with my mission and when I came up with my mission, I was ready to date anyone. Honestly, I was on a roll, but sorry. In the same time, when I talked about life or death, it was because I was in a situation of friends that had kind of left the church. So I felt a sense of loneliness in the church. So these are the promises. These are the promises that I made to myself when I kind of like came up with my mission. I promised that I'll put the Lord first. I promised that I always thought that I would make my relationship unique and different. I also had a promise to be slow to anger. So I made a promise that I would never like show rage to my wife one day, like not even married yet. I promised that I'll never make my wife feel scared in any way. In fact, I'm the one feeling scared. I'm the one that's about to call the police sometimes. But hey, it seems like the way we are these days. And the other promise I made was I was willing to make sacrifices, and I learned that from my mission. So when I came off my mission, these were my best friends. They weren't just friends. These were my best friends, and the reason why I have their pictures is because instead of others is because they were my priest quorum before my mission. And obviously, when you see them, they don't look like members. And I want you to know that it's not that they just chose, they're on another path. And that was a path that it wasn't for me, obviously. So I made these promises, and these are some of the things I did. I put the Lord first. I got a calling. My friends were playing rugby league, and I played rugby league with them. And I decided to stop playing league stopped it 100%. And I just came up on a mission, probably the fittest I've ever been. And I stopped playing league. And I just made these promises to myself. And like I said, life or death, it was either choose life in the gospel or spiritual death, which is to just follow my friends and then just choose that other path. And we know that by close RM friends that we know that have chosen another path. So this is the things that I did before my mission that helped me, stay true. So before I got married. So to this day, 20 years later, I still hang out with my friends occasionally, and we have an amazing relationship with my friends. And it's so cool that my friends, like I've been able to help my friends on a spiritual level. So if they're having issues, they message me. If they need their kids to be blessed, I get to bless them, baptize them. And one of my best friends, when I was bishop, I was able to perform the wedding for one of my best friends. So just being there spiritually for my friends is kind of cool. So being that lighthouse is powerful. And funny enough, they will see the light from the lighthouse every time it's dark and stormy for them. So I thought it was nice. I wanted you to know how important it was for me to make some big choices.
And so, like I talked before, as sisters, we do tend to have like longer lists than our brethren. So we came up with these three that we felt were really, really important to be on a list. So the first one is attraction, really important. When we taught that's at Education Week last week in Hamilton, one of the sisters mentioned that in Area 70 had said to them as a young missionary that you should be attracted to them spiritually first before you're attracted to them temporarily. And I thought that was really important because when Abinadi and I were dating, Friday night was temple night, and most people would go on dates on a Friday night. And I would say to him, hey, what are we doing this Friday? And he's like, I'm going to the temple. And I'm like, what? So I'd be like, going one session, like, should we go out and then you can go to the temple? He's like, no, I'm going for 2 sessions. And that was the 8:30, 10:30 session. This is when the temple used to run for 24 hours, like through the night. And so I knew from then every Friday that would be where he would be. Or not every Friday, but every temple Friday is where he would be. And so that kind of made him a little bit more appealing to me. So spiritually first, temple second. The second one we've got there is puts the Lord first. You want to explain a little bit about that one?
Yep. Yeah. Put the Lord first is, if you notice, we didn't put down return missionary. So keep in mind that put the Lord first can apply to people that we know that didn't go on a mission, but amazing missionaries now. My dad didn't serve a mission, and sometimes I think, like he puts the Lord first hard out, and it probably could be the same for your parents or your uncles and aunties. So just someone that you know that puts the Lord first. And a question that came a while back was, how do you know that they put the Lord first? And it was just kind of something that Tash was just saying. Like for me, when I came with my mission, Tash was Relief Society presidency. She was teaching. She was seminary teacher. She was doing a conjoint degree. So when I started dating Tash, honestly, it makes you scared to date someone when they're spiritually that high. Like, so some of you is probably wondering, why is no one asking me on a date? It's because you're spiritually beautiful to the point where we get scared to kind of ask. So that it's intimidating a bit for us, but we sometimes we have to just we go for what you really truly believe will bless your future. And I went for Tash, knowing that Tash was like a 9 out of 10, because 10 out of 10 is too perfect. 9 out of 10, and I honestly felt, even though I was a return missionary, I felt like a 4, maybe 3. Nah, I felt low, but I honestly went for Tash, and I just went handies. I just went for what was best for my future, and I tried to put the Lord first. I made sacrifices. I just went hard out trying to put the Lord first in everything I did.
So it's the actions. It's not like I put the Lord first. It's the actions that they show you. So even we said this before yesterday that even when we got engaged and we knew we were getting married, we actually never went to each other's wards because we both had responsibilities in our own home wards, and we wanted to make sure that we fulfilled those responsibilities to our home wards. And so for us, it was all about what we did in terms of our actions that showed each other how we put the Lord first. Like it wasn't about praying on the phone together or studying the scriptures together, none of that. It was what we did when the other wasn't around that showed us how we put the Lord first. That's really, really important. And of course, the last one is humble. And it's just because when you're humble, you're teachable. When you're humble, you want to change. When you're humble, you will not be proud. You won't be all about you. You do you. You'll do the Lord, And so we felt that's really important. But those 3 things, we really, if you have those 3 things, you'll go far. Yeah. I mean, my brother, like Abinadi's dad, didn't serve his mission. I've got one brother that did and one that didn't. And I always wanted the best for him. Always wanted him to have a temple marriage. And he went about it a different path. But once my brother went to the temple, every week until the temple closed in New Zealand, he went to the temple every week with his wife. And I just thought that was amazing. And he's never looked back. Once he's committed, he's never looked back. And that's the same for my father-in-law. So it's really important that you see those things, those qualities in a potential spouse or eternal companion.
Cool. Yeah. The last little tip for our marriage preps was always keep the door open. So there's a cool little picture that says God cannot steer a parked car, but just always keep the door open. So all the things that we've already shared, like build your character, choose, make the choice yourself, enjoy the journey, just do the Lord 100%, but always keep the door open for dating and marriage. And sometimes you'll feel the prompting of the Spirit. Sometimes you'll see someone that that you don't mind dating. Go for it. Just keep the door open. I've got two perfect examples. My brother got married at 38, and he kept the door open the whole time, and he just did his best. And just he got married at 38. And then my sister is a different story. She closed the door after her mission. She closed the door after her mission, and then she said, stuff like, I'm gonna look after mom and dad. That's my role now. And she got proposed to. She got asked on dates by brothers that are now in the stake presidency and a bishop now. And she chose to do that. 2 years ago, she decided to open the door again. We don't know why. I didn't ask her why, but she said that she was open to dating and marriage again. And this was 2 years ago, and she was 37 at the time, and she got married the same year she opened her door. So just keep in mind to always keep the door open, regardless of your age. Just keep the door open, and marriage is for anyone at any age. There's no age group to when you should be married. It's just you do the Lord and leave the door open.
Okay, so marriage.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've talked about this before, and I think even the world acknowledges this. A lot of people plan really well for their weddings. Like even as a young girl, I was like, I'm gonna have this kind of dress, I'm gonna have this color, I'm gonna have these people, and all that kind of stuff. But we don't plan well enough for our marriage. And so we kind of feel like the important part is, yes, if you're preparing, but these tips will also help you. These tips will also help you for when you finally do get married. And hopefully some of these nuggets that we share that have helped us will help you as well. So definitely the picture at the top there, the wife is always right. It's really important to note, especially for any of your brethren that's during the...
And this other one's my favorite quote: marriage lets you annoy one special person for the rest of your life. And if you know us, I do nothing but annoy Tash.
Push buttons all the time.
So take some notes, guys, because like I said, you're gonna make your marriage amazing when it's time. Okay, so remember it. So we just got a little video to watch and just see if you recognize this language.
Hey, are you golfing today?
Yeah.
It's the second time this week.
But you said it was fine.
It is fine. It's perfectly fine.
Are you confused by female behavior? Wish you had a translator to understand what she means? Well, you're in luck. Introducing the Manslater, a revolutionary device that translates woman language into simple man words. Finally, the power to know what she means.
Okay, cool. Let me just check with my wife. Hey, babe, a tea time open up later. You mind if I go?
Fine. If that's what you want to do.
No go!
What happened? Oh, it stopped.
Oh, stay home!
On second thought, I think I'll just stay here with you and watch The Notebook.
Aw, how sweet.
Now that's more like it. The Manslater uses emotion deciphering technology to help you out of the toughest jams.
Hey, is everything okay? You sound upset.
Why would I be upset?
Forgot anniversary, jerk!
Oh, no way! Happy anniversary, babe.
You remembered.
Come on, of course I did.
Thanks to the Manslater's patented FemLogic processing chip, now any man can decode statements like,
Are you wearing that?
You change, now!
Hey, do you want to get some coffee?
Me want coffee!
Do you think she's pretty?
You think she prettier than me?
Aw, you're such a good friend.
Me never date you!
I'm fine.
Me not fine!
I'll be ready in 5 minutes.
Me ready 30 minutes!
Do whatever you want.
You no do what you want.
Could you rub my shoulders a little bit?
No hanky-panky, only massage. Be serious!
So this is the little video of a language that happens when you get married. You see Sister Williams laughing there. If this machine was available for all young couples, wow, would a marriage be so awesome? So obviously this is just a little funny thing that happens, but it's definitely a language that us guys did not recognize. We're still learning this language. So we'll talk a bit more about that, but really quickly, we did a research on marriage around the world, and it just shows that marriage is declining around the world, and then in divorce, the divorce rate is increasing. We kind of felt really appreciative because of the knowledge that the gospel has a lighthouse, is a lighthouse when it comes to marriage and families, and that it never changes its stance on eternal families. So yeah, maybe we continue to do that around, while things are happening around us.
So it's really important in both marriage prep and in marriage is to keep an eternal perspective. I love this. I love that if you see how much we can see, it is really limited. Whereas our Heavenly Father sees where we've come from and he can see where we're going. And it's not just personal, but it's for your relationship as well. So I just wanted to share like a little experience that we had when we were engaged. So we went through quite a few trials when we were engaged, had a few wedding setbacks in terms of we planned to get married on this date and got told we're not getting married on that date. Some of that pushback came from family members, and particularly from my side, from one person. I'm not going to say who, keep that identity a secret. But so anyway, it was a really tough time for us. And so our stake president pulled us into his office, and I had just come back from England, so I got sent overseas as well.
So open her eyes so that
open my eyes to the world. Anyway, so that's just to give you like a brief background. So we're sitting in our stake president's office, and he's talking to us about our wedding date, and he said, when are you going to get married? And I said, we've got this date, and this date, president. And he said, well, Tash, you pick a date. Which one do you want? And I said, Friday the 1st of March, 2002. That's when we're going to get married, president. He goes, awesome. Lock that in. Let's lock that in. So he pulls out his thing, he starts writing it down. And I was like sitting there, and I was nervous because remember, I've got all this other stuff going on at home that I've got to go back to, and I've got to go back and say this. So I was really nervous, and I'm sitting there, and we're kind of holding hands. And then he goes, awesome. So he finishes writing it down, and he looks up at us, and he says, now, if you do not get married on Friday, March the 1st, 2002, you're going to break up. And I was like, hey. No, I didn't do that. Like my face stayed neutral, but inside I was like, who do you think you are? Telling me what to do about my relationship. So I look over at Abinadi for confirmation of like, he's going to go, president, you don't know what he's talking about, blah, 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 blah. And he's like, yes, president, we'll break up. And I'm like, and again, inside, my face was like, okay. But inside, I was like, I'm going to kill this guy when we leave here. What are you talking
leaders
about?
don't usually tell you what to do. They usually just
So
teach
it
you
was
principles.
really, I was sitting there conflicted. And I think my stake president knew at the time. And then he went on to say, now, and then give me the reason. The reason I want you to I want you to get married is because there are all these blessings that I know that the Lord has in store for you. So if you don't get married on Friday, March the 1st, 2002, you're going to miss out on those blessings. And I was immediately humbled because I could understand what he was thinking. I could understand his faith in his stake president. And I felt like, okay, I can do this. I can actually go home and face whatever's going to come. It wasn't easy. It was really hard. But obviously it worked because 19 years later, we're still together, I think. But let me kind of explain to you what kind of happened. So we got married on March the 1st, 2002. 6 months after we got married, Abinadi and I got called as elders quorum president for our ward. We were 22 years old when we got married. He got called as elders quorum president. About 6 months after that, he got called into the High Council as a member of to look after the young adults. And a lot of the young adults were older than us, older than him. So you can imagine how intimidating that was. 6 months after that, I got called back into the bishopric in our ward at 24. And not long after that, at age 25, he was called as the bishop of our ward, where he served for 9.5 years. So when he got called as the bishop, and even when all those other things were happening, I could see what my stake president was trying to help me see that the Lord could see. And I was really grateful. And like to this day, when we look back at our life and how the Lord has blessed us, not like, man, we came from nothing, we didn't have the temple things, but we had all these spiritual blessings that came to us as a result of a decision. And I'm really grateful So that's why it's really important to keep that eternal perspective and trust that Heavenly Father is leading you down a path that He wants you to be on. Because often as men, we see this, right? We just see that small picture and we're trying to figure out what it is and what the Lord sees, but we don't realize that the Lord sees that and has that in store for us. So if we trust that eternal perspective, we trust that where He's leading us, then I promise you that you will be able to see those blessings come full-fold into your marriage. It's really important. Helps you over the small things, helps you over the big things. It helps you through everything when you know that the Lord is on your side and He's got you.
Even temporarily, like, that was spiritually, even temporarily, the Lord is always with us. He sanctifies everything we do. So when we got married, we found a unit, and it was the perfect time, because units are, getting a place at the right time was hard. And then a year later, the lady didn't want her unit anymore, and she offered it for us to buy. And then when we bought it, the deposit happened to be the deposit that Tash, as a faithful young woman, had saved money for. And so we ended up buying our unit, and then Tash also managed to finish her degree while we were married. So temporarily, there's no excuse for getting married about, oh, I'm gonna wait till this. We managed to go through all those amazing challenges and things together. Oh, they weren't even challenges; they were just blessings. So So the Lord sanctifies everything we do when we decide to make the choice.
And because He's involved in our relationship, obviously, this is the triangle that we often get talked about. And I love how it shows that the closer that we get to Heavenly Father or to Jesus Christ, the closer that you get to each other. It sounds like the weirdest thing that would happen, but I promise you that as we go through, you'll be able to see exactly what we're talking about. So these are two principles that we found that are really, really important. So this is a quote from Spencer W. Kimball. The first part says soulmates are fiction, which is really important for you young, preparing to be married, understand, okay? Soulmates are fiction. But this part here is the part that we love the best, which it says almost any good man and any good woman can have happiness in a successful marriage if both are willing to pay the price. So you both have to come to the table willing to do things. And this is why we feel this is true for any marriage relationship, not necessarily an eternal one. I saw that Melly, I think it is married to a non-member. I might have misquoted that. We quickly tried to look at the chat while that video was playing. But if you're both willing to pay the price, that's why it works. If him as a non-member is willing to do everything he can to help you, and you as a member are trying to do everything to help him, your marriage is going to be successful. And we know of couples in our own ward who are married to non-members, and she is faithful, her son is preparing for his mission, and it's amazing because I can see in their marriage both are willing to pay the price. So and maybe examples of that is, what are you doing to make sure? Sometimes it means giving, and sometimes it means not giving. So kind of, if you give an example, you want to share the next one? I'll see if I can think of an example.
The other one that we thought of, because that's guaranteed if both are willing to pay the price. The other one is Christ-like love or attributes. We had a friend that was married, and she is married, and she is different now. So different. So he was like a prisoner, couldn't go to anything, couldn't even get a calling. She didn't want to get married in the temple. So we were like, this is different. So we're kind of thinking, man.
She's raised a member, so just so you know. So just so that all those things kind of just was a little bit foreign.
Yeah, so we were thinking, oh, maybe you should be happy, brother, and move on, Like, you don't usually say that stuff, but my friend went on to tell us that he loved his wife so much. He was grateful for the challenge that he received to go through so that he could, to do anything it takes to make his marriage work. And he just said that because there was a lot of good things too. So that was 4 years ago. He's happily married. They're married in the temple. She's so awesome. And it was just a rough patch at the time. But my friend, as the other example, is when someone has Christ-like love and attributes, you could also make your marriage successful. But so these are the two kind of fundamental principles that guarantees success in a marriage.
So we, throughout our marriage, have come up with like spiritual things that we have made our must-dos that we do together. So spiritual principles that have always helped us, that have just sort of been the thing that as we've gone on, we've just do together. Like we pray together every evening, we fast together, which seems to be like standard stuff, but stuff that's sort of like, I suppose, special to us, is like help support each other on all assignments and callings. So when Abinadi was bishop, and he was doing things like our family was all in. You know, we were there. We would be there at the beginning. We would help him clean up. We would do everything together as a family. Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's it.
Okay.
Just we just wanted you to know that everything that's on this is not just we just put it in because it's what we should do. These are the things that Tasha and I do and we love doing. Everything. So there'll be things in there that should be in there that we haven't put in there because we're not hard out good at it. Like scriptures every day, you know. So we haven't put it in there. We put in there the things that we do that we love doing. So you, when you get married, or you now can have your own spiritual things that make you a lighthouse. So things like, give you an example, like keep the Sabbath day holy. If we go on a holiday, we've had friends that said that they're on holiday, that there's things called holiday rules. I never knew about what holidays rules were, but I loved it. But they pretty much is that when you go out on a holiday, you can go buy your food because you're outside of your, you know, you can buy your food, you can go out to dinner. And when we did it, Tasha was like, no, we're not. We're gonna, you know, so on a Saturday night, we'll be looking to go to Pack and Save to get food for Sunday. So there was no such thing as holiday rules. We make sure that we go to church wherever we are in the world, and we make sure that we're there the whole time. We're not there just for sacrament and then go home or go do it. We Sabbath is a delight to us. So you're gonna notice things that you know that will become a lighthouse too. So these are some of the things that we did.
So that is ours. That's us. We're not putting any judgment on anyone that does it differently. That's like again, this is the way that we do things in our marriage. The other one that I wanted to mention that I forgot is on there is participate in all the ordinances of the temple, talking about endowments, ceilings, and my brain's gone blank.
Washing.
And the other one,
Initiatory.
Yes. Really important to do all of them. Like often we just go to the temple and we do endowments. It's really important. Our first year of marriage, we only did ceilings. I don't know why. They must have just been young couple, yes, ceilings. Young couples, yes,
couldn't
ceilings.
handle the long.
Remember, I'm not a return. I should have mentioned before. I'm not a return missionary, so I got
no excuse, but
I got into my endowments like 2 weeks before we got married. So it was all new to me, but we did ceilings for the first year and I really loved it. I really loved it so much that any opportunity after that to do ceilings, we were the first ones to put our hands up. It was a really good reminder for us.
Just keep in mind, this is our journey, and then you'd have amazing things for your journey that you do. Another thing that we follow is Sister Hickley said, you have always given me wings to fly, and I've loved you for it. When I was bishop and when I was in the callings that were very busy, it never stopped us from Tasha receiving any callings that the Lord wanted her to have.
So, for example, Abinadi was bishop and I was Stake Institute supervisor for like 5 or 6 years, which required me to be at Institute every Wednesday, setting up until it was finished. I had to open up and I had to lock up, and sometimes if teachers didn't turn up, I was teaching. So, I always knew that I didn't have to worry about that my children were taken care of, and that he would support me in my callings, because we also knew of friends of ours who callings were extended to the wife, and the husband would not support her in the calling, and therefore the calling never came about. And we just thought that was really, really sad. So we've never ever said no to a calling.
Yep.
And that's probably a thing that we could have added on the page before, but we've always supported each other in our calling. And on that side, but temporarily as well, we've done it as well. So when Abinadi said to me that he wanted to go back and study a couple of years ago, I was like, what are you for? But he's always wanted to get himself his degree. And so he did that a couple of years ago, and we supported him in that. In fact, I helped him quite a bit in his first couple of assignments, typing it like a nut. And then when I went back to school a couple of years ago and said I wanted to go back and be a teacher, I was waiting for him to say no, and he didn't. And so I kind of was like, okay, I'm going to go to school now. And so I did that for a year, and I often tell people, people ask, how you doing? He's like, oh, I'm a single dad. I know how to make lunches. I know how to clean this. I know how to do that. And he really was. And he picked up the slack. So it was really important that you're each other's biggest champions, I think is the best thing I want to say about that.
Cool. The other thing that we wanted you to think about is when you're married, you need to build a foundation upon Jesus Christ. The reason why we had that, it's kind of the stormy weather. You're going to come across financial issues or family issues, in-law issues, and you might even get gossip issues within your own ward. So your foundation needs to be so solid that it doesn't rock you when these come along. So we thought this was important for you to know. Spiritual comes with temporal things. So we wrote in there what makes your relationship blossom. So these are, again, we didn't just write it down. These are things that Tasha and I do and love doing. And some of them is like, for example, we've got a no counting rule. No counting means like I come home from work and I say something and Tasha gets angry. And then all of a sudden it's because I did the washing, I did the dishes, I cleaned the house, I did it, and she's counting all these things. So we made a rule earlier in our marriage that we will not count, that we're in the same team, and we'll just go hundies just doing things together because we're in the same team. And just, so that works amazingly. Another thing that we do is we wait for each other for main meals. So it helped when I was bishop because if I was at a meeting at night,
It's a good trick, ladies.
I wouldn't. I don't meet with anyone after my meeting, and I don't have a long meeting because I know that Tasha will be waiting. Tasha's waiting for me to come home for dinner, and we still do this till this day, which we wait for each other when we have a main meal. What else is cool?
So, like, remember before, Ben and I mentioned how he always wanted a unique relationship. So that myth at the bottom of sleeping on the couch, we've never done that. And that was probably something that we talked about really early on, to the point of when I was in delivering our first child, and we had to have a conversation before this about how, don't be like the movies, Tash, in the movies, they're screaming, they're yelling, they're swearing, they're saying all sorts of mean things to their husbands. Don't do that, Tash. And so that's what was in my mind when I was giving birth to our son. So I'm sitting there going, okay, I can't do this. And so if I got a little bit angry, once, if I was having a contraction, I got a little bit angry or upset. When it would finish, I'd be like, oh, I'm so sorry, everyone. I'm just, and he's like, good job, hun, because he wanted a unique wife. And he got her. So it's just little things like that. But it's these little things they're special to us. And what we wanted to say about it is some of these things, like even the spiritual and temporal ones, we got ideas from other people and we've tried them for ourselves, but they just haven't been.
Some work, some don't.
Us, like, some said, oh, it's really important for you to show physical affection. And we're like, yep.
No.
We tried it and that just doesn't look right for us. So we don't do it. But if you know us, you know how much we are fiercely loyal to each other and how much we care for each other. So it's just up to you how you want your marriage to be and your relationship to be. So this part here is really important. But and I put the quote up there, the Lord works from the inside out and the world works from the outside in. Like often we see it's just the tip of the iceberg of a relationship. Sometimes when people meet us for the first time and you'll see us and Ben and I will be clowning around, Ben and I will either be pushing my buttons and I'll be telling them off because I don't hold back even if I don't know you. And people can be like, oh, they're an interesting couple. But people, like I said, who really know us, the bit underneath the iceberg, that's the part that's important. And what's that filled with? For us, it's the Lord. For us, it's our children. For us, it's our family. And you don't get to see that side of things, but it's there and it exists and it helps our marriage to be what our marriage is. And we really, we love it. So, yeah.
Sure, that's nice. Cool. So we're going to fly through this. Our time is up, but with all the amazing things that happen in our lives, we just want you to beware and we want you to conquer the natural man every day during your marriage and right now while you're getting married, because the scripture says and will be forever and ever. The natural man will never stop. Even if you think you've conquered it, there's no such thing. You can conquer it day by day, not conquer it and it's finished. So out of Holland summed it up with three main things: selfishness, pride, and anger. He said those are the three things you conquer every single day, whether in your marriage or whether you're just you doing the Lord. Okay, so that's in a whole nother lesson, but that's something to keep an eye on every day. Those three things. The 80-20 rule is really important. This is a nugget that not many people know, and it's a professor in BYU, and he said human beings are complex. It is probably impossible for any two people to meet one another's needs completely. Okay, if a couple satisfies at least 80% of each other's needs, that's a minor miracle. So when this is for marriage and dating. So don't look for 100%ers because you'll never find them. Look at 80% of goodness, and this is what you say, close enough. So even when you're married, like, like marriage, you come in and you go, oh, hey, Tash, what an awesome day. How's working there? You just look in there, you just go, close enough. Yeah, what an awesome day. Nah, but you're not looking for greatness. You're just looking for goodness. And 80-20 rule is important. He said that by statistics, when you think about the 80-20 guideline, there's more marriages and there's better marriages when you think about the 80-20 guideline. So close enough. So here's just a sum up of our tips and nuggets. So what we're going to do is we're going to share with you the workshop. So we'll give you the workshop, but this is the sum up of our workshop and our pictures to let you know that this is our life. This is how we live our life every day, Tasha and I. So
the good, the bad, and the ugly.
The good, the bad, and the ugly.
That's why pictures of me sleeping.
That's why I put Tasha in there having a nice sleep with her mouth wide open, because she's so tired from a hard day's work. But we didn't want to paint a perfect picture to use, and you already know that. If you know us, you already know that we enjoy the journey by mocking each other and Tash growling me off in front of everybody. But those simple principles: the triangle, building your character, keeping your foundation upon the rock, conquering the natural man every day, and above it all, enjoying the journey. So that is our workshop. We hope that you've been able to catch some I was going to say chicken nuggets, some golden nuggets along the way. And